Hello, happy people. I hope you are just having an absolutely amazing day today. So today for my Friday, I do top 10s, typically of movies. I've done tons of movies like top 10 comedies, top 10 foreign films, top 10 science fiction films, top 10 independent films, that sort of thing. But more recently, I decided to leave that at my top 10 board games, I did my top 10 musical artists and albums, and then I've recently gone to comics. I did my top 10 comics and then my top 10 mini series. The last couple of weeks today I did my top 10 comic writers of all time. Alrighty, so just as a heads up that I need to have read enough of their thing in order for them to qualify, right? So if for example, I might have only read a 4-issue miniseries by somebody, then they're probably less likely to qualify, just as a heads up. I need to have read enough of them, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with number 10. Number 10 is Brian K. Vaughan. He's the guy who created and wrote The Last Man, which I loved a lot, and was one of my top 10 series. Number 9 is a guy I don't think it's enough credit. That's Steve Englehart. He is an Avengers writer during the mid-70s. My third favorite story by them is The Celestial Madonna. I think he does a great job doing it. He also has my favorite Avengers lined up while he's writing for them. He also adds the Beast and that sort of thing too. He also launched the Defenders. And so if you like Defenders, you're going to like him too. Alrighty, so number 8 is J. Michael Straczynski. He's the executive producer and writer of much of Babylon 5. They brought him over to Marvel, and he started writing Thor, all of his Thor. And then they brought him over, based on his success, onto Amazing Spider-Man. And while he was writing Amazing Spider-Man, he's my favorite Amazing Spider-Man. He just gets the character. He really pushed it forward with a lot of great character development and that sort of thing. Love him lots. And that's Jim Mass at number 8. Number 7 is Roy Thomas. He's a writer for a lot of things. In many ways, he seems kind of Stan Lee's as a major sort of guy who came in and sort of pushed a lot of things forward and that sort of thing. So he came in, Stan Lee wrote a lot of things in the 60s. But he came in for a lot of these projects, like the Avengers, for example. He's the one that created iconic characters like the Vision, put him on the character too. Also, this is the Kree Skull War, one of the first major sort of mega milestones in mega comics, rather than just maybe 1 or 2 issues. Right, it was the first sort of a larger series. Alright, good stuff. Number 6 obviously would be Stan Lee, and that's really thing. I particularly love his Doctor Strange. I don't think his Doctor Strange will have a 60 gets enough credit. And top 5 time. Number 5 is Chris Claremont. He understood writing for the Avengers. The X-Men rather. He really understood what the X-Men were all about, and that sort of thing. I think his X-Men run are the best X-Men run ever. All right. Number 4 is Alan Moore. He's obviously beloved. Love him lots. Great stuff. He's just a great writer, and that sort of a thing. So top 3 time. Number 3 is Roger Stern. He was an Avengers writer during the 80s. He created one of my favorite. My second favorite Avengers stories is Avengers Under Siege, and then also it's another sort of we're going to write more than just 1 or 2 comics. And then he also created a lot of characters like Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, that sort of thing. They're, I think, really strong. So, alrighty, so that's Roger Stern. I think he absolutely nailed the comics when he was writing it. Alrighty, so number 2 is Neil Gaiman, I loved him in The Sandman. I loved him as well too. I think he's an absolute classics. Alright, number 1 is Kurt Busiek. He's my favorite writer of all time. I followed him from all of his stuff and that sort of a thing. Like, for example, I followed him after Avengers to go write Conan for Dark Horse Comics. I followed that too, loved him. And great stuff there. His Avengers epic for years. He created the Thunderbolts 2, one of my favorite comics. My second favorite comic in Avengers Thunderbolts 1 is just an absolute classic. He also has my favorite Avengers, a multi-story, and that is the Kang Dynasty. So great stuff, love them lots. Alrighty, so let's go with my top 10 once again. For you folks, number 10 is Brian K. Vaughan. Number 9 is Steve Englehart. Number 8 is J. Michael Straczynski. Number 7 is Roy Thomas. And number 8 is Stanley. I'm sorry, number 6 rather, Stanley. Number 5 is Chris Claremont. Number 4 is Alan Moore. Number 3 is Roger Stern. Number 2 is Neil Gaiman, and number 1 is Kurt Busiek for you folks. Alrighty, so those are my top 10. So what do you think about them? Have you read a lot of your works like I have too? And then what would you think about them too? And what would be your top 10 of comics, right? And that sort of thing. I love to hear. I'm just a fan, right? I read a lot of comics, but I don't actually, right? But I'm just a fan, right? I'm not somebody who does this professionally. I wasn't a trained writer either, a critic, right, in college, or an English major or something like that. I was just a fan, right? So your opinion's going to be just as valid as mine. What are your top 10 comic writers of all time? All right, so there you are. So as a reminder, I also do other top 10s, like I mentioned earlier. So check them out, particularly movies. Tomorrow I do something I call Serial Saturday, that I dedicate to the forgotten storytelling method, genre in movies, and also sometimes TV too, called The Serials. I just did recently. I've done all the first 2 seasons in the 60s of Doctor Who, the first Doctor era with William Hartnell, and then I've also done tons of movies like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, and I've just recently done a couple of television serials too, including one in the Silent Era, Thompson the Tiger, from 29, and then I recently did the Black Hawk DC comics from 52, and then I also did just last week. I watched the Canadian Mounties versus the Atomic Invaders, which is a Cold War. It's not actually a sci-fi. So if you like that, check them out too. Then on Wednesday I do an older video game review. Typically, I just did Planescape Torment, the classic from 1999. So check that out too. Lots of other video game too. I also recently did Evil Genius 1. I've done the 3 big ones from Paradox EU4, Stellaris, and CK3 too, as well as other stuff too. But lots. I've also done some more recent ones if they were released, and then I put maybe a few hours into them a week or 2 later with 2 Point Museum and Planet Coaster 2. So if you like that stuff, check it out. And then on Monday I do reviews of older things in the older in either RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons or other things. I also did a Marple review too, and then I do things like BattleTech or other war games too. I just recently did my review of 1980s or 81. I did both of them. The Palace of the Silver Princess, Beat 3, and Back to Me, written by, and it was actually recalled, so I did a review of both of them by Gene Wells and Tom Moldvay, and I'll be knocking out the nice ones too. Alrighty, and then my other 3 reviews that are done each week are done in the older things that you read in the genres of science fiction, fantasy, and horror that this genre carries. So if those 7 reviews of those older things sound like your cup of tea, then great. Welcome to the channel and have a seat. And all that stuff. Please do all the YouTube stuff, like hit the subscribe button, the like button, share with your friends, hit the bell icon to be notified them too if you're feeling frisky. But basically share and watch. Those are the key ways to grow this channel. It's also where the passion of it comes from, and the name too. The worst thing about new books, that's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that it kept us from reading the old ones, right? There's definitely more stuff I forgot about. All right, and as you saw from my writers, very few of my writers are still writing today, our current stuff, right? It's very common, like. Right, and so it's not that the bad things are the current things that are bad. They're not. It's just we in our pursuit for the new book, the new movie, the new album, the new video game, right? We've sort of forgotten that these are standing on the shoulders of giants. So let's check out those giants, right? You see what I'm saying? So that's the passion of the channel. Alrighty. So there you are. And there you are. And if you made it all the way to the end, I just want to thank you so very, very much, for just taking some time out of your day and investing in it, right? And watching my videos, because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions, right? So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.